Hey there gang, Byron here and BenJee, the CJ5. Hey, today we're going to bring you along on an adventure where we set out to find 5 cabins that were last described by a land surveyor over 124 years ago in 1902. We have no idea what these cabins were used for, who might have occupied them, no clue at all. But along the way we're hoping to find some clues that might help us answer those questions and maybe give us a better understanding as to why anyone was even occupying this fairly remote and very untamed part of northwest Montana. So I think probably a little background is necessary before we get too much farther along. The surveyor that I'm talking about, his primary task was with laying out the rectangular survey system in the area. I could go into much more detail about the rectangular survey system. I'm not going to right now. But I guess what is more pertinent to what we're talking about today is that during his survey, he located these 5 cabins, he described them, and they ultimately ended up in a published map of his work that was produced by the federal government. So with that, let's go back in time a couple days. You can jump in with BenJee and I as we start a fairly long day, exploring we'll call it remote part of the forest here in northwest Montana. What are we going to find? Well, stay tuned and find out. We've arrived at the location of the first cabin that's on my list here. Bit of a jaunt out through the forest. Grab myself a few tools here and we'll head that way. Gonna kind of trust the people of the forest today. I'm gonna leave a Jeep sitting here with the keys in it and a bunch of tools and a chainsaw and gas and a cooler. Yeah, well, hopefully no one decides they want to steal anything. I'd be really bummed. Lose my faith in humanity because it's never ever wavered. These days it just doesn't waver. Let's go. One thing I want to point out to you is that this area that I'm in, back in the 60s, was logged really hard, and even prior to that, really hard. For instance, see that big stump right there? I mean, obviously now we're surrounded by kind of scrawny lodgepole, decent sized fir, an occasional larch, but there were monster big larch in here. Stuff with 4 or 5 feet on the butt. And it was all pretty much logged out years ago. There's another giant stump there. It's a long butt. So yeah, and why I'm bringing that up is that there is always the case that the logging activities that took place in here could have destroyed the cabin, and probably did. But we're going to take a look and see what we can find. Might find some remnants of it. Little watering hole. You can see roads, skid trails kind of throughout this area. More stumps. Logged very hard. But if you can imagine going back in time to 1902, when this cabin was shown on the map, what were these guys doing out here? Maybe trapping, maybe they were just trying to settle, just find a place to live. Hunting cabins maybe, maybe, but it was a long ways to the nearest town. Yeah, so who knows why these guys were out here. They could have been prospectors. There were some mineral claims out here, but it doesn't really, not the kind of land that really exudes, you know, mineral claim status. But then again, I'm not a miner, so what do I know? Well, according to my calculations, we should be very, very close to where that cabin was. And I'll be honest, I don't know what to expect. Again, anything that was here probably got destroyed or trampled on by the loggers back in the day. And to find any standing structure would be remarkable, honestly. I mean, really, who knows what the condition would be of any cabin that was here. Right now, I'm just kind of thinking maybe I'm going to find, you know, deteriorated stacked logs at best. Something that would resemble the footprint of a cabin. Nothing. I mean, I almost need to find some visible evidence to kind of lead me in a direction, but I did hit the area pretty hard with my trusty old surveyors locator here, and sure didn't see anything. Well, that's a good game trail. Ooh, look at that guy. Oop. Yeah. So anyway, I'm going to abandon this spot because there are like 4 other sites that we can go to. Well, let's get back to the Jeep and head on down the road. All right, on to the next one. All right, so as we head on over to the next site here, just some random thoughts kind of going through my head about this. But there's a good chance that this cabin was pretty darn old even when the surveyors were through here in 1902. There's nothing to say that it wasn't already 20, 30 years old and maybe abandoned. You know, think about this. There's a potential that that cabin could have been out here for 150 years as of today. We don't know that because we don't really know the history behind it and why it was there and all that sort of thing. So for there to be no sign of it at all doesn't surprise me. You know, I brought a metal detector because I'm trying to find maybe some hinges to a door, you know, any kind of metal scrap that they would have left behind. And that would be my best bet. But without seeing some physical sign of where the cabin was, it's, man, literally a needle in a haystack out here. So we'll just continue on to the next one. But what I'm saying is a possibility. These cabins could have been really, really old, and they've just deteriorated to nothing by this point. Sure, a beautiful day. 74 degrees in God's country. Oh yeah. That Kelly hump is actually not that far away from where this next cabin is, so we're going to just park right here and we're going to walk in. Later, BenJee. And we got to go down through this power line corridor. Section of road we're in right now belongs to the state of Montana. It's state land. So the interesting thing about the surveys, you can read very detailed notes. You can read all of the field notes that the surveyor had taken. So his calls to the cabins and the houses and roads, any of the features that he found, how he established the monumentation around the section, all that sort of thing. But the notes you read are transcribed. So the original surveyor's field notes were delivered back to the surveyor general. and then taken to the GLO, which stands for General Land Office, which today is the Bureau of Land Management, the BLM. Those notes were transcribed. Let's face it, they may not have wanted the public to read the chicken scratching of the original surveyor, but there's always the wonder, what was in his notes that maybe got lost in transcription? Maybe there were some details about, let's say, these cabins that the surveyor put in those notes, but just didn't get put into the official transcribed notes because it wasn't pertinent. You know, he may have met some old trappers out here, introduced himself to them, and they gave him some information about what they were doing, and you know, some of the area features like names of some of the peaks and that sort of thing. We don't know. From what I remember, and this is trying to jog my memory, I believe that once those notes were transcribed by the GLO, BLM, they were destroyed. For whatever the reasons would be. I guess you don't want duplicates of things, and maybe someone else trying to transcribe something a second time. Who knows why? I guess I could follow up on that and maybe give you more information on why they did that, but that's what I remember, is those original field notes were destroyed. All right, so we're back in the woods now. In the famous words of George Costanza, I'm going to check my dashboard compass to see how close we're getting. Nice big old yellow pine left there. Let's snoop around here. We're basically on the dot. Basically on the dot. There it is. Honestly, looks flat here. You kind of see almost where it's been pushed out, like there's a little bit of fill around this, a little bit of toe here. Boy, this could have been a cabin spot. Very easily, yeah. I see some debris down in there too. Could have been a cabin here. Got pushed down there by the loggers when they were in here, perhaps. All right, well, get the metal detector out, we'll start looking. Well, I'm starting to think we're 0 for 2 here. I see no sign of anything. About shook my arm off with this thing, looking for metal. Like I say, outside of that, just trying to see if there's anything that looks like somebody developed something, you know, put a cabin in, square cuts in the ground, directional logs laying side by side, that sort of thing. Nothing. Don't see anything. Well, maybe we'll start heading back towards BenJee, kind of lightsaber my way out of here. Yeah, sandwich time. Just about to the next site. The road system that got pushed through here years ago basically followed the old wagon road. Sorry, mouthful of food. And I would say that's how the people that built these cabins got in and out of here. So this cabin site is just barely off the road. I don't anticipate finding anything, but we're almost there. Well, literally behind you guys, 150, 200 feet back in the woods, supposed to be where that cabin was. So we're gonna check that out. Then we got another one just down the road here a ways, and it's it would be a little bit more off the beaten path. So this cabin site and the next one would probably be fairly easy to locate, or I should say maybe they would be more accurate. And that would probably be because the surveyors were running a line that's just literally 300 feet that direction. So as they're coming by here, they would have seen it and gotten a good measurement to it. I'm not so sure that we might not have just found where it could be. Check this out. This bench and a divot right here. It's perfect. About 30 feet long, 25 feet long maybe. And I'm literally right on my pin. Well, that's sure suspect. I don't know if you guys can get a perspective on that. There you go. See that depression? That very well could have been a footing for a cabin. And then it benches out real nice right here. So that could have been the floor. Could have gone this way as well. I don't know, we're gonna do some snooping around right here. This is promising. Maybe we'll find some steel here. Those little glitches you hear from the metal detector are it getting a little too close to the GoPro. Yeah. All right, well, I see another spot over here that looks dug out. If you can see it, I'm pointing at it. Always so hard to see on the camera, but there's a dig out here. Right, let's take a look here. Oh, hey, look at it. There it is, check it out. Oh yeah, right on. Stacked logs. This has got to be it, check it out. Right here, that way, cut end. Then another set stacked this way, going that way. See that? It's got to be it. Yeah, they're 90 degrees. There and there. Boy, that sure looks like a cabin. We got a line. It's probably hard for you to see. It's kind of raised here in front of me. Oh yeah, look at there. Yeah, this is it. There it is. There's the cut end of another log, and then one going this way, so this would have been another wall, maybe. End wall of the cabin there, so small cabin. Over there, just past that curved tree, is where we found the other end. And then here's this one. Look at that. Yeah, I think we found it. The floor in here kind of flattened off, you can see that. And then we've got another dip out here in the front of this thing that looks like that one we were just standing at. So kind of a depression there. Let's keep wandering around here. We're gonna find something here. All right, see, here's this cutout area right here in front of me, if you can see that. You have a depression here. You have to think of this. If there were people here back in those days, they would have had a dump site where they would have thrown their trash out, tin cans and that sort of thing. My metal detector should be going crazy. Somewhere around here, there's probably a dump, which would, you know, help lead us in the direction of where the cabin is. Oh. Oh, yeah. Something there. Oh yeah, something hot. All right. We're gonna check that out. All right. All right, let's see what we got here. Oh yeah. You'll have to forgive me. I forgot my big tripod, so you're stuck in a tree. All right, let's see what we got here. That's kind of exciting. Let's cut this little tree out of the way first. In case you're wondering, that's what you call a sandvic. Kind of a forester's tool. Replaceable blade on there. Cuts through things like that real easy. Yeah. Not to be confused with a Pulaski, which is very different. Pulaski is a digging tool and a chopping tool. This is just a chopping tool. All right, hot spot. Ooh, very hot right there. Oh yeah. Like a sheet of tin, maybe? Yeah. Sure enough. Proof someone was here. Yeah. Definite stamped edge on it here. I don't see any writing or words stamped in. It's pretty rusted. Was this maybe a sign for a door, perhaps? If there was a door here, maybe? Like a sign on the door, or a kick pad on the door, maybe? There's lots of remnants of the tin in here, so it's just gonna keep lighting up the metal detector. Oh, oh yeah, there's a lot more tin. That's a can. Just a old tin can. Can of beans, coffee, something. You can see the round end of it here. Yeah, I'd say we're standing in a dump site. Funny, I was just talking about where did they throw their trash. I think it was just right here. If you can imagine maybe a back window or a back door. They just have this pit dug, and they threw their trash in it, maybe. Trash pit. All this stuff's way too rusted to see any printing on it, so no idea what it is, but that's a can. There you go. You can see the seam in it there. Almost looked like it was a round, no, it was kind of a rectangular with filleted edges. Something down here. bring you guys over here. We'll check this out. See what we find here. Oh, bolt. Yeah, old bolt with a square-headed nut on it. Yeah, they could have used that for anything. Hinges, fasten logs together. Don't know. Well, I would say though, we found us a cabin. 1 for 3 so far. Well, let me snoop around here a little bit more and see what I can find. If I see anything cool, I'll show you. All right, so as we're traveling up the road here to our next destination, see if we can get through this ditch here. Yeah, works for me. Oh, what's this? Somebody had this area fenced off or something at one time. Forest Service study of sorts, maybe. I don't know. There's some posts, field fence. What's going on out here? What kind of study were they doing? Yet another post I come across. 6-inch post driven in the ground. And more of this field fence flagging. Another post here laying on the ground. What they were doing. And you know, did they get out here? Well, they pulled them out, but they just never came back and retrieved this stuff. According to my GPS, there's these posts. The cabin site was over here. It might be on the other side of the stream. Buck rub. You gotta get the crap off your horns every now and then, you know what I mean? Know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Well, it says we have arrived, at least where I've got my pin. Last cabin we found was about 75 feet, maybe 100, 75 feet away from where the pin was. This looks like it could be a cabin site. I mean, it'd be a place to put a cabin, but I don't see any remnants of any stacked wood. There are holes here. You can't see this as a depression. So we'll check this out. There's a few different little depressions in here. That's probably about enough searching for that one. I think this area at one time was skinned off. Maybe could have been a log landing here or something like that when they were processing timber years ago. I don't know. A lot of irregular ruts, big deep ruts in here, and stumps. Whereas, you know, like the last site where we actually found the cabin, there wasn't much logging in there. You know, it was pretty native still, natural. And so that probably helped protect it. Yeah, well, let's head on back over to BenJee, and there's one other site. I got to strategize on how to get to it. It's a little bit more remote, and it's almost 6 o'clock right now. But you know, there's still like 3 hours of daylight left. Jeep's got headlights. Looking for a Jeep. Looking for a brown Jeep. Oh, there's one. that's the way, I like it. All right, I'm gonna venture on out here, about 1,800 feet through the trees here. BenJee, we'll see you in a little bit. You keep the bad guys away. An interesting talus slope here. I find these nice little logging corridors to walk up through. But it is uphill the whole way. I can tell you what, years ago when I was logging for a living, if you had a break during the day to eat lunch, you'd take this grass right here, you lay down in it, oh man, you'd be knocked out in 5-10 minutes. Comfortable, cool. Oh man, it's the best. All right. 1,800 feet uphill is no fun. Why would there be a cabin up here? If it's this steep up here, then why would you have a cabin? It's got to flatten out up here somewhere. Has to. We're just about there, about 300 more feet, roughly. Nobody's traveled it in a long time, but look at this road. Right here, you can kind of see the bed right in front of me here. Now it's starting to look a little bit more like someplace a cabin would be. According to my pin, we're just about on it. So, what I'm a little worried about is that it's showing the cabin would have been really close to the road here, maybe even in it. What's this? Oh, look at here. Well, there we go. We found her. Look like a cabin to you? No. Look like a cabin to me? Yes. There's a hole here. Look at that. And cans. Yeah. So, was this maybe outhouse? You dig a hole for an outhouse. Probably throw a lot of your trash in the outhouse. Okay, so I think we can verify at this point. We found the fifth cabin. We found the fifth cabin. I'm tired. This just wouldn't be out here in the middle of nowhere, right where my pin's leading me. This hole, about 2 or 3 feet deep, had to have been for an outhouse, I'm guessing. Check this out. What's this? Looks like the foot off of a cast stove. Look at that. Gosh, look how ornate they were back in the day. Oh, that's cool. That's definitely a foot. You can see it. Plant like that. Yeah, well, I wonder where the rest of the stove is. It's got to be here somewhere. Let me take some of this gear off, and we'll start doing a little bit of detecting, see if we can't find some other really cool steel here. I want to know where the rest of that stove is. My guess it's somebody packed it off. It could be buried out here somewhere. We'll see. Gonna leave you guys hanging right there in that there tree. Do a little buzzing around here. I kind of wonder again if the cabin was just right in this area. What if there's someone buried here? I think it's just an outhouse, but it is about 5.5 feet long. There's a lot of rocks around here. Huh, this can had never been opened. A lot of these look like they've been left with stuff in them. Chain link. Boy, skeeters are just eating me up here. So we're finding all, ooh, the bottom of a shoe. Let me come get you guys here. All right, so in our little dump area here. Yeah, look at this little, it's like a piece of aluminum. I can't figure out what that is. It looks familiar. Cigar tube, maybe? Stamped around the top. Could have been a cigar tube or something. Random, like almost like a chain link. See, some of these cans, look at there, they were never opened. Well, I shouldn't say that. That one's got 2 little holes in it, so maybe they'd poured some contents out of it. Of course, then we got our stove foot, lots of other cans. Finding other things here, like some kind of a leg bolt. Another little end of a piece of iron, almost like a claw. Look at this, bottom of a shoe. Again, is there somebody in that hole? Does this belong to you? Maybe I should look at that rock. Maybe it's an etched headstone. I should get out of here. That's more of this tin like we found at the other site. Just flat tin. Where is it? No. Another sheet of tin. Stay up there. Nail. It's junkyard. I'm going to explore this field here a little bit. Just look around. I mean, wouldn't this be a great place to build a cabin? I know my pin's not really pushing me this direction, but it sure looks like a great spot. So I'm pretty sure that all I'm finding over there is just the remnants of the latrine, if you know what I mean. Sure, nothing visible up here. So I'm going to say it one more time. Why would you have a cabin up here? So far away from water. There's always a chance that this was a wagon road, and it's been here literally for 130 years or something. And this was a, like a overnight cabin or something like that, just a shelter someone may have built. There's definitely something there. It's not like we're high enough that we were at a point where there would have been a lookout or something like that, like a fire lookout. So it's curiosity. I don't know if you can hear me or not. My lav mic went dead. Check out the size of this hog. Woo, baby. Big old bull pine. He's been here a while. Guarantee you that tree was sitting right there when whoever had that cabin was here. Well, I've got about 2 hours of daylight left, if I'm lucky. Sun's getting a little low, and I got to get out of here still. I got about 15-minute walk back to BenJee, and then I've got about an hour drive or so to get home. So I got to get all that done, but this was kind of fun. I enjoyed it. I'm glad we were successful. We didn't find any standing structures or anything like that, but we sure found signs that people were here. And we found that those cabin symbols on those maps are pretty accurate. I was within 100 feet maybe most of the time. I mean, well, at least for the 2 we found, right? So yeah, our success rate today, 2 out of 5 cabins. And I guess that's not too bad considering the fact that almost all of this area had been logged at one time. I'm going to apologize right now for the audio because, again, my lav mic went dead. But yeah, it was kind of fun digging through these old dump sites. There's treasures in there of sorts, I guess. I suppose if you had more time to dig through them, you might find more stuff. You know, I had learned from a guy years ago who was, I guess in a sense, kind of a local historian in the town I live in, of Libby. In that he said one of the best places to dig for old artifacts are in outhouse locations. You know, somebody would run to the outhouse, drop their drawers, their wallet would fall in, or a ring, or something like that. They may not know it, or even if they did, maybe they didn't want to go diving for it. So that location, if that truly is where the outhouse was, which would make sense, it's such a deep depression, you know, digging around in there, you might find some valuables. You never know. Not knowing what these cabins were meant for, and if they were just occasional places for someone to stay when they were out hunting or something like that, well, the chances of finding more valuables in there might be slim to none. But whatever. The main thing is just to get out here and have a good time, exploring the countryside in my CJ5, doing some hiking, finding some of these places that have been just absolutely lost to time, recognizing that people actually were here. They occupied these places. They probably had good times and bad times, and just know that life happened here. That's really cool. And so, yeah, I wish I had a big structure here to show you, or at least part of an old cabin, but the chances of it lasting 130 years or longer, 150 years, are pretty slim to none, and they just disintegrate and go away. I'm gonna get out of here. Man, the mosquitoes have just destroyed me today. I'm gonna have to put something on. I don't know, what kills mosquito bites? Straight vinegar probably. Yep, that'll do it.